A heated debate over gun safety erupting after the Parkland school shooting. Florida U.S. Senator Marco Rubio finding himself in the middle of that debate. And we are pleased to have Senator Rubio from Florida joining us here at WCTV. Senator, you have faced a lot of criticism from Parkland parents and students in the aftermath of all of this. But I will say your thoughts on gun control have definitely evolved. What would be some of the things that maybe even last year you would have said, I don't know if I'm willing to discuss that, compromise on that, but now you're willing to talk about it?
Well, first of all, I would say that I'm not sure they've evolved. These are new issues that have emerged. For example, a gun violence restraining order or a red flag, that's really an issue of first impression for most people. It's only 5 states have it. And when Parkland happened and we looked into the facts of why it occurred, one of the things that became apparent was even if they had identified him as a dangerous person and needed to take action, there was nothing in the law that allowed him to take his guns away. And so now in Florida there is a law that allows you to go to court and prove that someone's dangerous, and with a court order and through clear and convincing evidence and after due process be able to go in and take someone's guns away as long as they're dangerous. And Senator Nelson and I have proposed a law to spread that throughout the country. So that's a new issue, right? And it's one that nobody's really been discussing up until this point. And so those are the kinds of things we're focused on. You mentioned the families. Let me give credit where credit is due. Obviously, there's a lot of different voices involved in it, and students speaking out is important. But I want to give a lot of credit to the 17 families in Parkland, because we've worked very closely with them, with the parents and some of the spouses of the faculty that passed away. And they are the ones that, well, they have differences of opinion on gun control among them, but they are willing to support the things they agree on. And thanks to them, not only did a law pass in Florida, but a law passed in Washington last week called the Stop School Violence Act that provides $1 billion over the next 10 years for states like Florida and others to set up risk assessment centers where they can identify people that might be a danger of committing gun violence against themselves or others and stop them before they act. And that's because the parents and the families, all 17 of them, came together on that, and we've worked closely with them and we continue to.
Talk a little bit about the Stop School Violence Act, because I was taking a look at it, and it does allow for a lot of states to be able to apply for grants and things like that. But you have administrators and teachers going, it takes a while to get that money. We need some solutions now. How are we going to be able to free some of that up so they can start implementing those things quickly? Well,
here in Florida, the legislature's already done that. So that's important to understand. Schools are largely regulated and controlled at the state and local level, not at the federal level. What we do at the federal level is provide additional money on top of whatever the states are doing to encourage people to set up school safety. This Stop School Violence money can be used to improve the school safety at the site. But also, what I think is the most effective, and I encourage people to research it, it's called the START program in Los Angeles. And it's a combination of the county, the police, the health department, the schools. They are assessing. They're constantly on the lookout for a student or anyone who could be a danger to themselves or somebody else. They have a running tally, and they're always checking in on them to make sure that nothing's gone wrong. You couple that with a red flag law, and that allows you to actually intervene directly when someone's in danger. You can Baker Act them, but you can also take the guns if you can prove to a judge through clear and convincing evidence that this person is dangerous. Those things go in combination.
Well, talk a little bit about that too, because yes, gun control is part of it, but also mental health, and you're talking about those issues. But is there anything in the STOP Act that goes to telling about taking away the stigma? Because we still have a big stigma in this country, even talking about mental health. So how are we going to implement these things if we aren't even having these conversations?
Well, and I don't use the term mental health, because mental health is a big gamut. I mean, it's postpartum depression, it's ADHD. I mean, there's a lot of things that none of those, the 99.9% of the people that are going through some mental illness are not dangerous. They're just have an illness or a disease and it needs to be treated. This is more than just mental health. This is about dangerous people. This is about people who want to hurt other people. And if you look at all of these school shootings and all of these mass shootings, with the exception of Las Vegas, which is a very strange case that no one can figure out yet, in every single one, there were warning signs well in advance, before Columbine, before the shooting in South Carolina, before the shooting at a church in Texas, before Parkland, before Pulse. These are people that had told people what they were going to do before Sandy Hook. And either people didn't take it seriously or there wasn't action to stop them. And since Parkland happened, there have been at least a half dozen potential school shootings that have been stopped because someone saw something, they said something, authorities heard something, and they did something. And that's what we're trying to get people to do here, and these laws create the systems to do it.
Let me ask, in the Florida Safety Act that Governor Scott just passed, there were a couple things in it. One was passing the fact to move the age to buy a gun from 18 to 21. That is now under a lawsuit from the NRA. They are challenging that. Another was banning of bump stocks, which now the Attorney General of the United States has come out and saying that there is a proposal to ban that. What do you think about those two issues?
Well, bump stocks, I've been in favor of banning from before the shooting, and the Department of Justice is going to do it through regulation. So it's already illegal in Florida. It'll be illegal nationally soon. On the age, I said I'd vote for it, raising the age limit, probably structured a little differently than the Florida one. I don't know about shotguns and bolt-action rifles are not what we're talking about here, but it's also important to remember that for those who are concerned about it, it's about ownership. It doesn't ban possession. Actually, it's about purchases. It doesn't ban possession. Frankly, it doesn't even ban ownership. Your father could buy it for you. And so that's why I'm saying to people, common sense gun regulations are fine, but ultimately, the thing that's going to be most effective is to find these killers or find these potential shooters and address them before they step foot on a school or take action.
And realizing again that there is common ground on both sides.
Well, without common ground, we can't get anywhere. And that's why people are allowed to say whatever they want in politics. And sometimes it's very positive, sometimes it's not. But what it's important is that we can't get anything done in Washington or Tallahassee for that matter, unless people that have differences of opinions are able to come together and agree on some stuff. That's what we're going to continue to do. I give credit to the families, the parents in Parkland and the like, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
All right, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Senator, for joining us. And we'll